How's everybody doing? I hope you're all having a great day. I wanted to do an update on some stocks that I own, as well as some of the research I've been doing on some future stocks. A YouTube friend has really gotten me motivated into doing a little bit more research, specifically on BNGO. Go take a look at that. It's actually really interesting. I wanted to make a video on that, but that's going to have to be put on hold because I've been trying to do a lot of my research right now and figuring out what's going on with the market. Because last week we finished in the red. There's a lot of things that have been going on. Trying to figure out just little things with like Neo after Neo Day. I'm trying to figure out things with Apple, and I wanted to do a video on Apple again because of the future of their car that they want to get into. And just all kinds of other stuff. But there's a lot that's on my mind right now, and I want to talk about it. It's probably really going to piss some people off, whoever watches this. So we are going to make a political video because today is Tuesday, tomorrow is Wednesday, tomorrow is the transfer of power, the official constitutional transfer of power in our great country. I'm not trying to joke about it. I'm trying to joke about it because of everything that's going on. But in reality, we have a transfer of power. President Donald Trump is supposed to transfer power to the future president, Joe Biden. So basically, I don't even know where to go with this because it's really going to probably piss some people off. Whoever watches it. I don't have that many viewers. So tomorrow, Joe Biden is going to be our next president. And I'm a little, I guess, irritated on what's going on in DC right now. I don't like, first of all, this is a raw, again, unedited video, so I might stutter, I might mess up, I don't know. So I want to first just kind of talk about what's going on in DC as of right now, presently. We have over 15,000 National Guard troops that have basically fortified Washington, D.C., which is our capital of our union. I'm okay with that because of everything that has happened. So I'm okay with them wanting to take extra precautions, and I'm okay with them wanting to protect the future president, as well as the now present vice president will be there. Vice President Pence will be there, and a bunch of other people. You're going to have senators there, House representatives. You're going to have, I believe the Supreme Court justices go to it. You're going to have just a lot of people there. So it's about keeping the Capitol safe, keeping the people safe. Totally cool with that. What I'm not cool with is my tax dollars, your tax dollars, whoever watches this, we are having to pay for a lot of that heightened security. I don't like that. I don't like that a big situation took place, as we know, a little while ago, and that has led to the heightened security. So I get that, but I feel like we need to have a middle ground. I could be completely in the wrong, and I'm okay if I'm in the wrong about this. I'm for our First Amendment, freedom of speech. Now, what we do have to remember is freedom of speech is only to a certain extent. Everybody thinks that the First Amendment, your freedom of speech, can basically mean whatever you want, or you can say whatever you want. So to clarify that, you can say things to a certain extent. You can do things to a certain extent. But when you threaten lives, when you make threats just in general, when you put things, people, or yourself in danger, your limitations shrink. So I think we can all agree on that. I guess I'm not okay with not seeing a normal transfer of power. I think it's really unfortunate that we are seeing fences and maybe tanks and just the military involved in this transfer of power. I'm just going to keep calling it transfer of power because it just sounds a little bit nicer, I guess, of what I really want to say. But so let's go back a little bit. We had a insurrection of the Capitol building, which led to all this stuff. Now, I'm really, I gotta be so careful how I'm going to say this. Um, the insurrection of the Capitol, I get it. It's the people's house. It's my house. It's your house. It's the people's house, right? We get that. We don't need to talk about that. It's whatever, right? I I just to storm the building, for me personally, just for me, let me just clarify too. I voted for Trump the first time around. I voted for Biden the second time around. I'm a Democrat, but I'm a very realistic Democrat. I'm not super liberal because I am very conservative and I have conservative views. So I'm just right down the middle on this, right? I didn't like to see one, I didn't like to see police being just beaten up. Okay. Put everything aside, any type of other riots, things that have happened this past year in 2020, just put all that aside. Just in general, we're just focusing on the Capitol building too. Let's just say that all as well. I wasn't okay with people storming the Capitol, beating up police. Just the violence in general, I wasn't okay with. Um, I wasn't okay with the guy that was wearing was it an Auschwitz concentration camp or whatever it was, that sweatshirt. I wasn't okay with certain neo Nazis that were storming the building or Nazi sympathizers. Anything revolving around white supremacy. I wasn't okay with that because after watching a lot of the videos that have come out now since then, we have seen that there was a lot of people that did storm the Capitol that weren't about that. They didn't like that. They didn't like that, people were desecrating statues and just desecrating, in a way, really hallowed ground. I think besides the chambers itself, the House of Representatives and the Senate chambers, besides those things, I think it was the Capitol Rotunda that really irritated me the most because we've had people lie in state. We've had presidents. We've had just famous people in general, people that we read about in our history books. For me, that area was hallowed ground. I didn't like that. I thought that was a desecration of just hallowed grounds, whatever your viewpoint is on just American history and everything in general, that I just wasn't okay with. There is a video in the photo about the Confederate flag. So I had to get a little opinion on this too, because it's a very touchy subject, the Confederate flag. We know what the Confederacy was. We know in a way, what it stood for. Because there's so many, when you really get into the history of the North versus the South and the history of everything, we can easily bring it down to just slavery. But there was a lot of other things that were, in fact, or at the matter of things. I guess never has the Confederate flag been flown into the national or our national capital. It is not it's not a good image. Now, there's a lot of loyalty behind the flag. There is a lot of things behind that flag, and that I just don't think I'm a very educated person, and I studied history, but I don't want to touch on that. I just think my clear-cut view of it was just not a good look, because there are a lot of people that do support President Trump that aren't racist. There are people that support President Trump that aren't bigots, that, they're Republicans and they're conservatives and they're good people. There's not, every single person that supports the president aren't bad people, okay? There are a lot of bad people, as we saw, the Nazi sympathizers and just extremists, and the conspiracy theory people. But I'm not talking about those people. Like, we can all agree that there were some bad people, but there are, some good people. And as well as on the Democratic Party, there are some people in the Democrats. I know people personally that are also conspiracy people and do the same crap as Democrats. But in general, I don't think it was a good image to have someone flying the Confederate flag in the Capitol, especially if you're a Trump supporter who doesn't like the Confederate flag and you just feel bad about that. It just gives a lot of those people a bad look. I think you kind of get where I'm coming from. Also, just to get into the chambers itself, I thought it was just a cluster F of things that were going on. I think overall it just was one of our saddest days in history, and I'm really serious about that. We've gone through wars, we've had presidential assassinations live on TV, we've had just a lot of horrible crap in our lives on whatever generation you're a part of. Me as a millennial, I've lived through a bunch of stuff and I've seen a bunch of stuff. And to have that happen, I think was one of our dark days. Do I understand the motivation behind it? Yes. Am I split with it? I am actually split about it because there are things that I agree on. There's things that I don't agree on. But I think the reason I like to make these videos is because for me, it's a therapeutic thing. I get this off my chest. Do I condone the violence that happened? Absolutely, I condone the violence. I think it was horrible. But it was also horrible that a woman was shot and killed because she was protesting her freedom of speech. But in the same sense, it was probably a bad idea for people to storm the Capitol. I guess just the moral of everything is we have to find a more common ground and a more understanding way to protest. I think rioting on whatever the spectrum is just a really bad, unfortunate thing to take place. And again, this is just my opinion. I'm not at all taking either side, but I think I'm more so on the side of condoning the violence, condoning just the hate and the bigotry that maybe came from this insurrection. But I'm more just upset presently in the moment now after I've made this video. I'm just more upset that what we are about to witness tomorrow, our history, no matter if you're 99 years old or if you're 10 years old, we are going to be witnessing history tomorrow again. That happens every 4 years. You have a transfer of power or you have a re-election. And it seems that we are going to witness history as a capital under siege and fortified. And is that the way everything's going to go from now on? Hopefully not. So that's kind of how I feel about everything. Again, I wanted to make a video on more so just stocks. I wanted to make a video on things that I'm more interested in, but that's my phone.